Welcome, everyone, to the Ember Scorch League. I am your host, joined today by a Mr. Isaac Cast. How you doing, Mr. Isaac Cast?
I am doing great. In general, side things outside of before we get into this, Nico Hulkenberg got a podium in F1. So I mean, obviously, that's just my whole life has been made. So.
Definitely exciting for sure. Getting into the League of Legends. I'm pretty excited about this course overall. You want to fill in everyone? Why are we here? What rank are we doing? Let us know, Isaac.
Yeah, so we are in our second week of Ember Scorch League. Our matchup tonight is between Moondusto and TPO SB. Moondusto had a bye week the first time around, and on side of TPO SB, they won 2-1 over CC In-Houses with a substitute last week in top laner, Pression for Ado June. Ado June is back this week for TPOSB. So that should be fun to see two teams at their full strength. There are no substitutions expected for either side, which personally is my favorite time to cast because we get to see these teams that have, how we expect them to play together. And, that's just the gist of it.
Well, in my experience of coming from just doing a couple of these different tournaments, I always enjoy watching the wild cards. And a lot of the people that you sub in end up being a little bit of those wild cards. Like they're not on the primary team. It may not necessarily be a skill thing, but maybe it's just a pure synergy thing. Sometimes that ends up negatively, but a lot of times I think it makes the fights at least interesting to watch and to cast. I love the shenanigans. One of the first tournaments I got my hands on was an ORV summer invitational that was really interesting, and the skill gap was all over the place. Literally on one team we had silver all the way up to like challenger 600 900 something like that, and so it made the games extremely interesting, a little bit weird to watch, but I was definitely excited to see what happened from it, and there was a lot more risks being taken in my experience.
We are getting into the draft just momentarily. To the audience because the teams can listen in, but did say to watch out for a few flex picks coming their way on the side of TPOSB, and clearly they have chosen the blue side this time around. I'm a big fan of picking blue side. I think generally that getting that first pick is just the way to go.
And I think in some ways it's a little more comfortable to grab really both objectives. I know it's a little bit harder on Dragon, but if your support's playing right, then your support is getting in there and getting a little bit of vision, hopefully with a little bit of help on their end as well. And so I think that'll be really important. And once again, like you said, TPO looks like they're on left side, they're on blue. and Moondusto is sitting over on right. First couple of bands are already out. It looks like we've got Pantheon and Liliana for TPO, and over on the right, it looks like so far we've got Silas and Vi, and then looks like we've got the Caitlyn band. So based off of the bands, how are you feeling? Like, what do you think that they're going for? Has this sort of announced anything you think for the bands on your end?
I'm thinking both sides are targeting largely that jungle, especially on the TPOSB. If they're pinching that jungle pool with both the Pantheon and the Lily early, I would suspect that they probably want to go something for a Sweeble right here, perhaps the J4, or actually the Lucian will be the first pick on the side of TPOSB, which is a bit interesting considering that Nami was banned away. So on the side of Moondusto, I mean, obviously Lucian very much strong with Melio and Nami as the main two supports. So at its field, there it is. Melio for the side of Moondusto, and that's a pretty big takeaway, I think, from TPOSB.
Well, I think that's a pretty good pick into that because obviously Lucian wants to get immediately in your face, and Milo just has so much in her kit to stop that. I'm curious to see if they're going to pick CC into Moondusto, especially with having the Milo. And it looks like we've gone into Jinx. That's not too surprising. I feel like that's a pretty solid pick, and I've seen a lot of performance for her. And there's actually not a too surprising of a pick. We've got Braum into that as well. So always love to see him. Sometimes he can be sort of a weird pick, but I think he's good here. It looks like it's followed up by Jace as well. So Jace on top, and we've got bot lane picked, and obviously sitting there we've got I believe that is mid and support so far that we're waiting on, and Talia there for the mid for Moondusto. So Moondusto popping down a mid. I guess it could be jungle. Um, it looks
Yeah,
like
there.
yeah.
No,
It,
there.
it,
Yeah, there is a lot of flexibility from the third picks on either of these sides, the Jace and the Talia. Are obviously both flexible. Jason top mid, Talia mid jungle. I think on the side of TPO SB, I'd say is a bit more flexibility just based on what I've seen from the scouting their OP.GGs. Because I
mhm.
do know that Team Sussman does play a lot of that Jace in the mid lane. So there's already that level of familiarity there. But on the side of Dunstan, I didn't really see any sort of uh, Talia at all, or even sort of champions that would fit into that. So like no Brand or Zyra either. So I'd be surprised if that one really moved around, especially since Viego is a choice from Moondusto.
Viego already coming out strong. I've seen pretty great performances from him. I feel like Talia, in a lot of ways, has been a little bit weaker than I normally expect to see her, at least over the last couple of seasons. I just haven't seen a crazy amount of like great performances. Not that she hasn't done well. I've seen them crush, but not as well as I think they have done in the past. Over for TPOS, it looks like we're going to finally get rounded out here with Wukong, which is not surprising. I've seen him a lot in this, followed by Ren. Also, Ren's always a really good, solid choice. Ren into Shen. I think that can really go back and forward either way. I'm doing a Masters tournament as well, and I've seen specifically Ren, Wukong, and Shen show up almost at least once in every game. So that doesn't really surprise me, and I think they're pretty solid picks. That global ult is just it's just exactly what it is. And they've sort of got, I guess, three global ults because they've got Shen, they've got Talia, who, I mean, I guess, I think the range is about as long as Lux's. And then, of course, we've got Jinx there to sort of like pile things up. When you're taking a
Yeah,
look at Moondusto into TPO, what were you thinking about like for the team? How do you think the team synergy boils down to?
I think it mostly boils down to two sorts of ways. Either they find like Lucian, especially because he is particularly short ranged, and collapse onto them. It might be a little difficult with Braum, but one thing they could also look out for is that sort of counter punch. Wait for the Renekton to go in, followed by Wukong with the Cyclone. Wait for those cooldowns to pop. You can use a Stand United to slow that down, then fight back. But I do hear the sound of the rift. Of the rift. I do believe we are ready to move into game one here between Moondusto and TPOSB. So we should be moving in.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift. seconds until minions spawn. Minions has spawned. I told you to stand back!
On TPO's side. And so far, it's just going to be a little bit of back and forward. Same thing with top lane as well. Ren and Shen. I don't expect a whole bunch there unless somebody gets a little bit overzealous there. But that's usually a pretty solid matchup from what I've seen.
Yeah, the Braum Lucian, it's not necessarily one that we see all too often these days, but you mentioned the level 2s coming through now.
Ooh, pretty good stun there on Jinx. Jinx going down about 50% HP, but Lucian taking a little bit of trade there as well. Braum also taking a bit of trade there on the back as well, forcing him to use a couple of pots, but trading his HP for Jinx HP is typically pretty strong, especially because Braum is tankier and he can just trade a little bit better unless Jinx gets a real big advantage of that, which will put Jinx more and more in the danger zone into Lucian, because Lucian is really just waiting for something to happen. We did miss this minor engagement sort of top. Renekton got a pretty good trade there on Shen, but it's still pretty even as they both go back and forward. One down to one pot. Shen does dash forward, taking Ren down to about 30 or 40%, so he's got to be careful with that. Jace into Talia, which is actually something I guess I didn't register in my head that that's what was going on. I don't see that combo too often.
Yeah, I mean, Jace is definitely more primarily a top laner, typically, but I think Comfort has big to deal with it. Aderju not really all that much of a Jace player. Meanwhile, Team Sussman, that's actually Sussman's most played champion in solo queue. One thing that does concern me slightly with what's going this way on the side of TPO is the fact that they don't have really any source of magic damage. Now, luckily, Indio, Moondusto haven't really drafted all too many tanky champions into this. So, hold on, Dunstan.
Milo trying to bait out Lucian there. I'm not sure Viego really wants this fight. Running into Braum is really, really risky, I feel, especially because getting an early kill on Lucian is just absolutely devastating to deal with.
Yeah, Lucian obviously relies on being that dominant laning force, and so this pressure early shown by Sweevil, I mean, it's not Sweevil, wrong, seems jungler, Dunstan in the bottom lane to put this Lucian a little bit far behind. Obviously, doesn't get the kill from it. However, it has turned this CS gap slightly back into the way of Aki, and if you can just prevent this Lucian from exploding, it becomes a lot harder for Lucian. The later it goes on, if he can't get that lead. So I do like that movement from Dunstan to start top side and move bot.
I feel like Talia is definitely going to be pretty important based off of her positioning and when she decides to use her cooldowns. Because, of course, you got the Wukong dash, which is going to hurt. You got the Ren dash, which is going to hurt. You got the dash forward from Lucian and Braum. I think it could truly be devastating. So I think it's going to be a little bit hard. Ooh, Jace actually going to move his way into Talia, but Talia getting a little bit of assist there from the tower, and she might actually kill. She does have to blank backwards. She's able to save herself. Both jungles sort of waiting and wanting something to happen happen over here. Wukong is in a pretty good position. He's going to pop his clone forward. Is it going to be enough to grab Talia? But no, Talia does bounces up. First blood does go to Wukong. Wukong getting his first assassination, and Jace having to back out of mid, but he did manage to make it. Now Wukong has to make it out of his jungle as well, which will be quite difficult, and I don't blame Jace for not following. It looks like he does get stopped at the blasting cone, but it's not going to be enough just quite yet. Shen rotating back down. Ooh, and there it is. He does finally get it right there at the end.
Yeah, still really well done by Sweeble. I think, importantly, that forces the flash and the teleport out of the Talia and makes that a very vulnerable target again. Team Sussman really showing that early dominance there in the mid lane, slowly starting to develop a CS lead already. And if they can just come back mid, force another recall out of Talia, even if they don't get the kill, obviously. Ideally, TPO would want to get that, but even just getting Talia in a place that she has to recall and miss away would be absolutely huge. We were mentioning earlier with that Unraveled Earth being a huge cooldown, though, into the team of TPO. And yeah, I do agree. It is such a strong... Wait, hold on.
Small little bit of engagement over here in the south, but not really anything to write home about just quite yet. Braum does absorb plenty of the shots. Lush does take Milo down quite significantly there, but they can't engage too much with that jungle sort of sitting in the back there. Wukong is sort of floating around, but I don't think he's going to be in a great position to be able to grab that. He might be able to turn on the Viego, but he's really got to watch it because the grouping is a little bit better on MDO's side. Trading continuing over on top lane. It looks like Ren's doing quite well. 58 CS to 39 for Shen. Shen can recover from that, but it looks like Ren really is being a bit of a bully there in top lane, and Shen's having a hard time of it, being almost 20 CS down, which is quite significant, because if I remember correctly, 30 CS is about as much as a kill, so he's about almost a kill down. Ooh, blink forward there from Jace. Jace going for Talia. It looks like there is indeed going to be the ult. Talia actually blocks herself in a little bit, but she does buy herself enough time for Shen to pop his way in. Shen going down about half HP. They've got to worry about this jungle. Ren over the wall. Ren looking for something. If they're not careful, they're going to go from Predator Prey there inside of the jungle.
That was really well played by the side of Team Sussman. Waited for Talia to pop that ult there, the Weaver's Wall, and knew that there's a point in time where, as soon as it's a fun interaction with Talia, and you like keep in mind if you're playing in Talia, is that her ult has 2 casts and it's a dash. So you can CC Talia out of the Weaver's Wall if you're there at the start or at any point during it. And what I really liked from Team Sussman is he waited for Talia to use that Weaver's Wall and then used his melee form E, I forget the name of it, but that's it's technically a knockback, and knocked Kabama from out of the Weaver's Wall to get away, and forced her to get very low, and required the Stand United from Rock Farmer to be used very early and very defensively for really not much value outside of keeping the Talia alive. She's going to lose a lot of CS on that and just more gold. I do really like that.
In the background, it looks like 2 grubs did go to Wukong, if I'm reading the UI correctly. And Vega actually ignoring the 3rd Void Grub, maybe not wanting to risk the fight. And I don't really blame him, because Ren's going to be so hard to deal with. Ren's almost up about 30 CS or so. Bot lane going pretty even, though. It looks like they're tied, or relatively close on CS. Minor trading back and forward. Milo just really threading the needle for Braum's passive. And actually, Jace going in, smacking the Talia. Devastating.
Yeah, solo kill for Team Sussman in the mid lane. And that's been building for a while. Obviously, we talked about the CS League. We talked about a few of those fights going very much to the favor of this Jason. It is the power that Jace brings. He's very strong in the early game and should be able to out.
Is in danger. Ooh, Viego looking for something to grab. Braum might be able to keep them out. There's going to be the exhaust blink backwards there for Braum. Lucian maybe take a little bit extra damage than he needs to. Jinx in a pretty good spot. Wukong going to engage the fight, and there it is. He's going to go for the support. Support's going to go down. Milo going to die just as quickly. Wukong having a pretty good clone there, and there it is. There's exactly what we need. Braum, I think, actually getting a little bit of that kill. Unfortunately, Jinx getting a kill on Wukong, which means Lucian's really got to watch out for it. But same thing on the other side, though, too. Braum could still pop in and still leap over the wall wall and take him out if they're not careful. Jace getting his backstop, but it looks like that might be exactly what he wants as he goes in for Talia. Talia actually coming out on top of that engagement, but that means she's going to be down that if Jace does get a back off.
Yeah, back to that fight earlier, it was honestly, I liked Sweeble's movement there, dodging out the Super Mega Death Rocket from the Jinx, also using that clone to block the stun from Dungston really played a huge factor in that fight for sitting it out long enough for Braum Lucian to close down and isolate that fight for a numbers advantage. So really well played from the whole bottom half side of TPO, but Sweeple specifically, I was more so impressed by with the movement there with the hands.
Well, and I agree with you. I think that clone was fantastically placed. Whether it was intentional or not, it definitely, I think, dictated the fight. I feel like from watching Wukong, it was probably more intentional. Engagement still continuing top. Ren just trying to take a little bit of damage off of Shen. Shen trying to return the favor, so it's still going to be just plenty back and forward. Both have been able to avoid jungle ganks quite significantly, so that's been good for them. Braum setting himself in a good position there to try and get Wukong a kill, but it looks like nobody's taking the bait just quite yet. First Dragon may go to TPO, but Viego still has time to contest it. Ren taking Shen down about half HP. Jace sort of sitting over here. That could definitely tip the scales in his side, but Shen can also turn this around rather quickly. Jace going to go in on Shen. Shen's got to be careful. Shen's so close to going down. There it is. Ren's finally going to get a kill on the board. Talia going to chase that. Braum actually going to ult the support over there. Milo is in danger. Milo going to go down to Lucian. That's going to be good for Lucian. There it is. There's going to be the death of Jace. No, Jace actually managed to barely survive. Ren going for Talia. This Talia cannot catch a break. She does ult, but Ren gets her just in time.
It's just it's a tragedy on the side of Moondusto. The slight margins were just wrong once again. Adergene this time around showing a strong knowledge of how that Weaver's Wall works, stunning K-Bomba out of the escapes, try to find their way onto Sweeble, prevents that going that way, and Qualamunker and Ugnis in the bot lane getting that 2v2 kill, getting themselves a little bit more extra gold for themselves. It's just generally going all the way the side of TPO SB. To now up about 4K at this point is a lot at 13 minutes. Not quite a doomed amount, but it's certainly it's a mountain to climb for Moondusto.
Definitely not impossible, and I think they do have the team for it. I think it's going to boil down to Jinx, because I think at this point, Talia is just going to have a hard time. There's a chance she can pick up a couple of kills, which would be great. I think getting the kills on Talia could make a pretty big difference for this fight. But even then, she can go into sort of more of a support role, just stopping all of the dashes, which could have a pretty profound effect on a lot of the fights. But she's really got to watch the placement of that ability in order to get something off. And the thing with playing into Braum is you've always got to be worried, because he's got that passive. He can stun you down exactly when you need, and that Q can be absolutely devastating. And he can really set up plays. And right here it is. He's going to ult Jinx. Jinx going to go down. If she's not careful, she's going down about half HP. She's got to be careful. And there's going to be the heal there, but it looks like they're going to go for the support instead. Lucian getting a kill. Jinx just not able to keep up. Braum ulting exactly where he needs to. Ren actually a little bit of trouble there on top, but he should have the dodge for it. Jace going to take down the tower, try to look for an opportunity there, grab to Talia, but if he's not careful, he's going to get grabbed by the jungle. Viego is going to see him rotating mid and has got to be really careful with that. Jace, that is. It looks like Braum's going to go straight for the Jinx. Jinx going to get targeted and going to get destroyed. Braum doing exactly what he needs to. His positioning's been phenomenal, and that tower dive worked out quite well. Jinx may be overstaying her welcome a little bit.
Yeah, and if you notice, that shield came out. It was from the Stand United from Rock Bomber. They couldn't even survive through that. Hold on.
Ooh, Jace baiting out the Wukong. Wukong gonna ult forward, and he's gonna get it exactly what it needs to. Talia so close to going down, but Wukong wisely gonna back off. It's very hard to dive at Talia. Not that they haven't already done it, but they still need to be careful. Getting some gold on it, Talia could spell their doom if they're not careful. So they really need to thread that needle as much as they can. And Wukong managed to back out, having pretty good control. It's very easy to see the low HP, especially on an assassin champion, and just dive right in, but he did manage to back himself off.
Yeah, it's just I mean, really well played by TPO SB to continue to push their advantage the way they have, like claiming all 3 towers basically as soon. Hold on, 8 or June.
Rin getting a stun there on Shin. Shin gonna go down if he's not careful. He's got to watch out for that passive. He's got 2 ticks on him so far. There's gonna be Talia as well, and there it is. Talia's gonna pop her way over. Unfortunately, isolating Braum. Braum having a hard time getting in here, but he does finally make it. The shutdown finally happens there. Shin able to get some gold, able to get some points for his team.
Yeah, it was 600 gold. It is not an insignificant amount. But hold on, Team Sussman could be in a little bit of trouble here.
Braum being a little bit fearless there. He's going to pop his ult exactly when he needs to. It looks like the passive finally hit the jungle. Jungle going to go down just as quickly. Jace just absolutely threading the needle, managing to survive, baiting out the Wukong over and over, just setting up kills for him.
I can respect the attempt, and especially with how close it came from the side of Moondusto, especially being 8k down at 16 minutes. I think if this game hasn't been as I guess one-sided as it has been, if the wallet difference wasn't so high, it almost certainly goes their way. It's a good angle to fight, but I mean, yeah, wallet gap at this point is just a little bit too high to surmount, and I think really the only way Moondusto has a way back to this one is hoping TPOSB overstep their bounds a little bit more. They have come close to doing, but at this point, this game is currently out of the hands of Moondusto, and more so on if TPOSB can properly close this one out.
There's always a chance for the underdogs to come back, but like you said before, it is definitely going to be a mountain to climb. 2 factors that I think have made a pretty big impact on this game is I think both Braum and Jace have had just phenomenal positioning, always know exactly where they had, and then most importantly, I think their comms have been pretty good too, because every time Jace has been in what looked like a precarious situation, he seems to have baited it out, because Wukong's just been waiting there. He did it in mid, he did it sort of over inside their top jungle, and it worked out really, really well for them. That was MDO's best opportunity to grab it. Braum gonna try to catch the Talia, but once again, Talia being a little bit of pain to grab Shelly, gonna finish off the turret and move into the T3s. I mean, that's a T2 down. Milo taking a little bit of extra damage there. Looks like there's only 3 defenders here so far for the bottom. Shelly should manage to pop her way up there, I think, without any issue. There she goes, right there at the end. Gonna sacrifice herself, and they're gonna transition immediately over to the T2 inside middle, going for pretty heavy macro. There's gonna be ult there from Talia. Talia's gonna stop right about halfway in the middle. She's gonna knock everyone back. Is it gonna be enough? They are into the tower. Plenty of damage being dealt there to Ren. Ren finally gonna go down. Wukong taking down the tower, but is it gonna be enough? Wukong does finally ult. He manages to survive just barely, but that jungle, they've got to watch out for. Shin ulting the jungle, but it looks like they're able to turn around. That 8k gold difference is making a massive change over here. Jinx managed to just barely thread the needle and survive. They have an opportunity to turn around. Jinx is got the damage for sure. If she can catch the Wukong, Wukong just barely manages to get out, and Jace as well. Jace and Wukong threading the needle. That almost got turned completely around. A little bit of a 3v2 trade.
Yeah, Koala Monker just got a little bit too excited there. Basically walked into the melee range of the side of Moondusto without doing anything. Saw how low Aki was, wanted blood, but just didn't quite see the larger picture. And Moondusto do really well to fight back and cut this gold deficit down to 7k. And that's why I was saying earlier that it is important that if TPO-SB can, if they do close this one out, it is still a mountain to climb for Moondusto, even with that fight win. But if they can get a few more fights like that, I still think they do have a really good chance of coming back to this one, because, I mean, Lucian, not the greatest scaler, neither is Jace, neither is Renekton. So they definitely have the scaling advantage there. And also on the side of TPO, they're all physical damage. You just buy a little bit of armor, and it becomes all that much harder for the side of TPO-SB to play this game. Now, obviously, that's a lot longer down the line. TPO-SB, I still suspect, should be comfortably able to win a few of these fights. But if we get a few more fights going that way for the side of Moondusto, they could very well be back in this one, given that happens.
Viego being a little bit cautious for this engagement, and got to watch out for the Wukong. Ren is going to go for the Talia. Talia actually gets her ult interrupted and going to get taken down there by Lucian. It looks like this is going to turn into a fight here for TPO. TPO absolutely mopping up the competition. This isn't a fight. This is a clinic with a body count as the jungle goes down.
Yeah, wait, hold on, Team Sussman.
Just barely, but still, once again, this Jace surviving over and over with so little HP. His spacing has just been fantastic, and he's always had an exit strategy so far in every fight that I've seen him go into. Ren maybe biting off a little more than he can chew. He's got to watch out for that Jinx, because you can't underestimate Jinx. Jinx does have the majority of the gold on MDO's team, which is probably where you want it. It would be nice to see a little bit more on Talia. Unfortunately, it looks like the support is kind of end up being a little bit of the weak link for MDO. Milo sort of struggling here in the fight. There's going to be an ult there for Jinx, but it's only going to go directly to Ren. It's going to give him a little smack on behind on his way out, which of course he doesn't care too much because he can regen it back quickly. Otacon going to go down there in the background. Fight's going to ensue. I'm not sure MDO wants this fight. They are a little bit low. Ren is a little bit low. They could potentially get at least him. They should get him and back off. I don't think they would do that, but it looks like Ren's going to ult. Might just barely be able to save out, but I don't think his team wants this fight, and I don't imagine. There it is. Jinx is going to get the kill there on Ren. So that's going to be good for her, and that's going to be good for their team. Jinx so far has, I think she's had pretty good positioning on her side for MDO's side, and she's been able to have a consistent amount of damage. And even though Milo has been dying left and right, he has been able to support Jinx in a lot of different ways, in a lot of different these fights, giving her that little bit of edge, a little bit extra damage, which I think has made a difference.
Yeah, I mean, Aki has definitely been one of the brighter parts. K-Bama, again, though, just probably dead here.
Jace absolutely devastating there. There's going to be ult there for Shen. He does have to watch out for Shen. Jungle going to come make his way down. This is exactly what they want. If they can catch this Jace, this will be super great. That's a pretty good shutdown. There's going to be the ult there, and then finally, it looks like Jace might go down to this. Is he going to take anyone with him? No, he's not. Talia getting 900 in the bank. Braum getting caught out. Got to watch out. Wukong is still here, but Wukong can also get caught out. He's got to be really, really careful. This is not the fight that TPO wants. However, MDO definitely wants this fight if they can start it.
They will have the numbers
advantage. Gonna pop his way in, gonna get grabbed by the jungle, using a pretty good clone once again, but unfortunately, Talia getting isolated and taken out there too far away from her team. Her positioning's not where it needs to. Braum ulting up, looks like he's gonna get two. Shin trying to stop the Renekton. Wukong going down about 10%. He's gotta be really careful. He did thread the needle. He managed to survive. Milo really close to going down. Shen gonna get taken down by Ren, and it looks like this is absolutely gonna fall apart as the jungle goes down as well. Jinx does still have a lot of HP, but it's gonna be hard to deal with, and she gets stunned, knocked down, and destroyed, and now she only sees the gray screen.
A quadra kill for Ado June as well. I think a lot of that came down to the really, really poor teleport from K-Bama, if I'm being completely honest. I did like the idea of trying to fight, of knowing that you got that kill early on to Team Sussman. I mean, Jace, one of the stronger members of the side of TPOSB, so I get why they went for the fight, but that teleport from K-Bomb there's no other way to put it. It was just awful. It completely ruined any sort of chance that the side of Moondusto had to claim that fight. And so now on the back end, that's a soul point for the side of TPO-SB, and 2 inhibitors down, pretty much going to ensure that soul is coming up, especially with Baron spawning in the next minute as well. It's pretty dire from the side of Moondusto. Or I guess
Talia sort of ulting in there. I'm not sure if she ran that by her team, because her team was not in position for it whatsoever. It just was I think it was a pretty hard fight to force, and I feel like not BMing them, but I feel like that was more of a solo queue play rather than a calculated play that maybe their coach recommended, or that their team said, hey, let's go ahead and do it. It looked like it was kind of a split-second decision, and I'm guessing she probably regretted it as soon as she hit the TP, because she was just destroyed instantly. And she did have an opportunity to turn that dragon fight around, but her positioning just has not been great. Jace has just been absolutely on top of her every single time. A little bit of skirmishing over here inside the top jungle. I don't expect anything too much from this just quite yet. Wukong's going to clear out the middle wave and maybe transition that into a Baron or a Baron bait. This would be good for them to grab because they don't have too many defenses left. And at this point, TPO can start the fight, get Baron down to about half HP, and they can really just turn on MDO. And I don't think MDO can really respond, especially because they're not grouped. And Jace is continuing to take a couple of pokes at them there in the back. They are going to respond to the Baron, which I feel like is a mistake because if they lose this fight, they're going to lose the game.
But I mean,
Jeez.
equally on the oh my god, the accelerated shock blast goes crazy.
MDO forcing the fight. They got to watch it out. Braum having a pretty good ult there, followed shortly behind Talia. Talia going to pop over. Looks like they do get the kill there on the Baron. Is it going to be enough, or are they going to get completely aced for it? It looks like Jace is going to knock off the support and take down everyone else. And once again, this is pretty much game match. I don't think Shen can really do anything to stop it. They did stop the Baron, but there's only Shen left to defend the base against 5. Braum did have to back out, but I don't really think they need him to tower dive. They can do it pretty well, I think, here with Ren.
You know, honestly, when I saw the fact that Dunstan stole the Baron, I thought this might be the moment. It obviously wasn't the moment. GG well played on the side of TPO SB, just controlling the vast majority of game 1. Really didn't give Moondusto much of a chance at all in that. And well, in their draft, they said, we're going to win this game by 8 minutes. And, well, they did exactly that.
And TPO takes the first points in this series. Keep in mind for everybody watching, I believe this is a Fearless. So what we saw here, we will not see once again. Those champions are picked, and they, of course, are gone. I think the bans are really going to tell that, and I think Fearless really does force you to have quite the large plethora of different champ selections and different roles and whatnot. So a lot of people get into TPO and pick sort of their best picks, not into TPO, into Fearless, and they pick their best picks early on. So hopefully that's not what TPO is doing. Hopefully they've got a lot and a bunch of different strategies ready for it. I think the bans will definitely have a pretty big impact on that. They've kind of gotten a feel for each other. And this is still anyone's game. Moondusto has plenty of opportunities to turn it around, but they need to maintain their cool. They need to maintain good comms and a positive attitude there in the background. Just because you lose one doesn't mean you're going to lose the whole thing. But if you lose your mental, you will.
Yeah, the reset, say, well, that was terrible. Game 2 is different. Shrug it off. We'll get them in 2 and 3. But speaking of games 2, we will be right back with that in just a moment. So don't go anywhere. We'll catch you in a few minutes.
See you then.